the short, medium, and long-term trend is up, down, or sideways. So you can see like right now we have on the Dow an upward trending bias on the short, medium, and long-term time frame. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Same thing with the S&P. All right. So what this tells us is if we want to start looking for trade opportunities and we want to, kind of go with the current instead of swimming against it, we may want to look for buy signals currently. And you can actually hover over each of these and it will show you how long these short, medium, and long-term trends have been in place. All right, so all very user-friendly here. Now, I mentioned the broker integration. So this is where you can go ahead and select if we have one of your available brokers and get connected so that you can place trades within your brokerage account. And those will all show up within the dashboard. If you choose not to use broker integration, that's perfectly fine. Or maybe we don't yet have your broker available. You would, like I am right now, connect to Quote Media. All right, and this will give you access to our data. And this is all included in the dashboard. So let's talk a little bit about the next layer of sections here. Commentary and events is where we post our live member workshops. So we'll be letting you know about our weekly member workshop that we do Tuesday evenings. We post those here. You can review past sessions. You can be aware of upcoming events. If there's any major market events, things like that will all be posted in the commentary and events section here. Next over, we have market sentiment. So you always know at a glance what the level of risk, the overall trend, and the buy-sell ratios are. Now, let's talk a little bit about those. So the risk uses implied volatility, all right? And it's a very simple gauge with a peg on it, and it tells you from a low, medium, to high range what the overall level of implied volatility risk in the market is. So when you see it in the low range as it is now, that would indicate a likely uptrending market. And of course, that's what we see. The trend indicates bearish, neutral, or bullish. Okay, and you can see right now, it gives us the accurate indication that we're in a bullish trend, but it also gives us an indicator of the strength of that trend. So we're actually kind of, previously we were pegged up a bit higher, and as we start to come down, we're really on the low end of the bullish spectrum. Perhaps that will come down in neutral or maybe even go to bearish. So I really like to monitor this once each day to get a gauge of the velocity and the directional movement of that trend. So it can help us maybe time a market reversal. The buy-sell ratio. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the trade trend indicator. The buy-sell ratio tells us, specific to our trade trend algorithm, how many buy versus sell signals are out there across all the symbols in our database, about 5,000 symbols. This can also be used as sentiment because, for instance, I think we were previously pegged in the buy range, telling us that there were far more buy signals than sell signals. We've now come down into the neutral range. We're still a little bit on the positive side in terms of more buys versus sells, but this might indicate that there could be some changing market conditions here. Okay, so again, all this just by looking at the market sentiment gauges. Now, another really cool thing is our sector performance section. The sector performance is going to tell you at a glance what your top and underperforming sectors are. And if you click on any of these, like we can see that consumer discretionary is currently a top performing sector, it will go ahead and populate the consumer discretionary stocks within the XLY ETF right in your scanner. And we're going to be looking at the scanner here momentarily. So for instance, I might, knowing this is a top performing sector, just want to click on the buy signals. And I can see which are pending and which are triggered buy signals. We'll be explaining that too. Maybe I want to look at the utility sector. All you need to do is click. Maybe I'm a bearish trader. I want to, look at, I know energy was, for instance, down today. I want to look at maybe sell signal opportunities. Maybe I want to do that with an alignment with the bearish divergence cloud. Again, we're going to be talking about what this is. This all can be done with a simple click of the mouse in the scanner and the sector performance. Okay, so Let's go ahead and move down to the scanner itself. And Daniel, actually, I think I'll go ahead and I know there's a lot built into this scanner, and including some recent updates and improvements that we made to it. So I'm going to let Daniel kind of walk you through those. And if prior to doing that, there's any questions we want to address, we can. But Daniel, if you think we're ready to move forward, you want to go ahead and take that over.
Yeah, we've been getting lots of questions, and many of them will be answered as we go through. And for those which are not being addressed, we're going to keep them just for a few more minutes, and then we're going to address them just to not break the flow. All right, so perfect. So what you see on the left-hand side is the Zillion scanner, which to me is really the backbone of the Zillion dashboard because it allows you to find what you're looking for, which may be an interesting long trade opportunity or perhaps a short trade opportunity within seconds. It is super fast. It is very responsive, and every single thing you see on this scanner can be filtered for. If you are familiar with Excel, for example, you may know this little filter icon. So if you click on it, for example, let's say maybe the buy filter, you pick maybe you want to see all the symbols which currently have an open trade. You click on entry. Bam, it's done. This didn't take even a second to load. Maybe it was a half a second. And you see all the stocks now. We're tracking over 5,000 symbols, stocks, ETFs, cryptos, and other asset classes. Now you can see the ones which currently have an open buy signal. We just filtered down from 4,952 stocks down to 1,267 in a split second. But not just this. You can also sort. Every column you see that can be sorted just simply by clicking on it. So if you click, maybe you want to see the stocks which have the highest volume. You click on it, you sort by volume in descending order in this case. And as you can see, there's lots of flexibility and it's very intuitive, as you would expect from a sophisticated scanner and dashboard. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about how a trader who uses the dashboard can identify or find an interesting trade opportunity. And to me, I like to keep it simple. Trading needs to be simple in my head. So for example, let's just say, maybe I'm a stock trader, I'm a swing trader, and for good reason actually, I have a long bias. No, I don't want to short my stocks. Maybe my broker doesn't allow me to short stocks, or perhaps just because I believe the stock market over time will go up. So I'm only interested in the long direction. So let's, stay with that thesis for a second. So in order to find interesting trades, what I can do, for example, is to filter by what we call pending buy entries. It's kind of a heads up warning. Hey, maybe we're going to get a trade in the next couple of days. Okay, so we just did this. Jeff filtered by pending buy entries, and you see every single symbol in that scanner has a little upwards facing arrow, which is yellow, and a little number next to it. And the number indicates how many bars ago did this pending signal occur. So oftentimes it's 1, but it can go up all the way up to 3 bars ago, because that's how much time we give the signal to really enter into an executed trade. And how this works, we're going to see in a second. All right. So this is step number 1. So perhaps I want to filter by pending buy entries. And maybe I also want to, not trade penny stocks, for example. So my next filter, let's say, is the price filter. I want to trade anything above, let's say, just keep it simple, $10, for example. So I pick this filter. Now we're down to 104 symbols, which currently have pending buy signals. But then there's one more thing what we can do. How many of you are familiar with the performance metric profit factor? It is one of our favorite metrics to evaluate the performance of a trading system, indicating how well the signals currently are actually working out. And you see this column there, it says LPF. So the L is a bit cryptic, but the L stands for long profit factor. So the profit factor for our long trades. All right, and now we did something really cool. We actually sorted our pending buy entry by profit factor, allowing us to focus on the ones with the highest profit factor first, because nobody really wants to click the 104 symbols which currently have a buy signal or pending buy signal. You want to focus on the ones which currently have the highest profit factor, allowing you to rank whatever you see in the scanner. So if, for
Daniel,
example,
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't interrupt. Do you want to explain kind of what the profit factor number indicates,
yeah,
whether it's one or above?
perfect. Yeah, sorry, I jumped over this very, very quick. So, two key things that you need to know about the profit factor. Um, Number one is it is win rate independent. So many of you perhaps look at the win rate and say, yeah, I want to have 80% win rate for a system to be good, or maybe 65%. To me, this metric is very misleading because it depends on how big your winners are versus how big your losers are. So it can be very misleading. The profit factor, on the other hand, is completely independent of that. It takes into account how big your winners and how big your losers are. And as a rule of thumb, a profit factor above one uh, indicates a profitable trading system. A profit factor about 1.5 is very profitable, and the higher, the better. So in this case, Finch, for example, has a profit factor for long trades of spectacular 3.91. It's a great profit factor. And if you look at the chart now, we, for example, can see that indeed we do have this little diamond on the last bar, indicating we currently have a pending buy signal. It's not confirmed yet, but it's pending. It's a heads up warning for you on this particular symbol. All right. So this is how you can find very quickly symbols which currently have a pending signal. And why pending? Because it gives you a heads up warning to get ready for it, perhaps to plan out your trade. But this signal, and Jeff will expand on this when he takes over again, this signal is only confirmed if we see follow through on one of the next bars. If the market doesn't follow through, it doesn't go to the upside. In this case, sorry, if it doesn't penetrate the $11 mark, the next day we will not see follow through, and this trade will not be executed. And from a trading perspective, what you would do, you would place potentially a stop buy order with your entry price of $11 in this case. And the dashboard tells you exactly what is the entry price, and if we get triggered, where is my stop loss? So if you look at what's written above the chart, just real quick, Jeff, you can see the entry price is $11, and my stop loss should we get triggered at 10.76. And this brings up another very important thing. The stop loss is not just arbitrarily chosen. It actually takes into account the current market's volatility. If the market is more volatile, if the symbol is more volatile, your stop loss will be further away, therefore giving your trade more room as it pans out. You don't want to be stopped out simply on wicks moves. You want to be stopped out if the sentiment changes. So volatile markets have a larger stop loss. Not so volatile symbols and markets have a tighter stop loss. This is intelligently chosen by the tool. But there's one more thing. So right next to the chart tab at the top, you see a button which is called Statistics. If you can click on it, this is where the rubber really hits the road. Because in here, you get all the evidence that you need to form an expectation of your next trade. For example, you can see, just by looking at the statistics below, that we had 53 trades in our history. And the history goes back to around 2017, maybe 2016. So roughly 10 years, perhaps a bit less. So we had 53 trades. Of those 53 trades, 22 were in the long direction and 31 in the short direction. You can see the profit factor for all trades together at 2.61 and the profit factor for longs at 3.19, exactly what the scanner has told us. But there's one more thing. Look at the trade performance by weekday graph on the left-hand side in the top corner. That one. This actually breaks down for you which days of the week were the most profitable ones. And sometimes you get astonishing results. For example, for some reason, we don't know why, but it's just a fact that Fridays, for example, for some symbols, didn't work out at all. They were always negative. And perhaps Tuesdays, as in this case, were extremely profitable. So these are the insights that can really make a difference in your trading. So yeah, this is where really the rubber hits the road and the information you can use to make a final trading decision as to whether you want to engage into this trade or not. And Jeff, do you want to expand on this a bit, or should I keep going with some of the other features that we have built into the dashboard?
I think, yeah, I think you've covered it very nicely. I'll be expanding on the signals themselves, so you can go ahead and cover the other items.
Yeah, just real quick, some of the more advanced features is, or perhaps basic feature, depending on your viewpoint, is of course you can create your own watch list with the dashboard. This is very easily possible through various ways. So way number one is you can create what we call a user-defined watch list. You simply click on Add Watch List there. You click Create, give your watch list a name, and perhaps my top 10 stocks, for example, or whatever it might be. And once this watch list is created, you can simply then simply by right-clicking on any symbol in your scanner, add this symbol to your watch list. And we also have multiple selections to add a whole host of symbols at once. So of course, this is how any watch list basically works. But just recently, and this was, I think about 2 weeks ago, maybe, we have introduced a brand new watch list feature. We call this the dynamic watch list. So dynamic watch list is not manually populated where you add symbols one by one to a watch list. No, it is dynamically populated based on filter criteria. So for example, just hypothetically, maybe I want to create a watch list of stocks which have volume above $1 million. So we put this into the filter. Yeah. Above 1 million, not 1 million shares traded. And perhaps I want every single stock in that watch list to have a green cloud, a bullish divergence set up. So I go to my cloud column and click bullish. Perfect. And perhaps it should be the ones where the profit factor, the long profit factor, let's say, is above 1, for example. All right. So now we have some filter criteria, and now we can create a dynamic watch list based on these filter criteria. So for example, high performance bullish stocks could be one. All right, so we give it a name. Now all these symbols now will be in your watch list. And now the kicker. This watch list will be dynamically updated day after day. Every day when the market closes, we recalculate everything. New stocks, new symbols will be added to that watch list, and other ones will be removed based on whether they still meet the filter criteria. A very unique way to keep track of whatever you're interested in, which is now possible in Zillion. And of course, some other features, we're not going to go through all of them as a demo, is you can import your own watch list from Excel. Perhaps somebody gave you a list of stocks that he finds or she finds interesting. You can now import these into Zillion directly from Excel. No need to do it manually. You can also export the entire scan results, or perhaps a subset of it, a watch list, to CSV very easily. Every single column is customizable. And in fact, whatever you see in the scanner is also customizable. If you go to the column configurator all the way on the left-hand side, Jeff, the button, one more, there, perfect. You can actually define what you want to see in your scanner, which columns should be displayed. So you can really customize how the scanner should look like. And you can add more columns to it. You can remove some, and you make it your own basically that way. And one last thing that we added, and then I'll give it back to Jeff, is a brand new column, and we're going to keep adding more to it. And this column is the earnings date. Now it is possible to find out directly in your scanner which symbols, which stocks have upcoming earnings. So for example, if you use the filter next to it, we can say, okay, which stocks, for example, have earnings coming up maybe within the next week. So in less than 1 week from now. In this case, only one. Of course, we also have other filters on. There's probably a few more than these. But if we remove the filters and just filter by earnings date, less than 1 week. Oh, the cloud color is still on. Yeah, just these. Oh, this is because this is these watch lists, Jeff. Go back to the end of day scanner. There we go. And now filter by, remove the filters and do it by earnings date. Perfect. Yeah, this is a brand new feature. So, it takes a little getting used to, but as you can see, it's super fast. You can see all those stocks now, which have earnings coming up in the next five trading days. So CAG, Levi Strauss, McCormick, Nike, all these stocks have earnings coming up. And there was a question in the Q&A, which was about, can I use Zillion? Can I use this dashboard to come up with options trades? And the answer is yes, absolutely. With various ways. For example, you can place a directional option trade based on whatever signals you find in the scanner. So if something is very bullish, perhaps you want to, buy a call option. If you want to place a non-directional trade, perhaps a strangle, which simply plays on the fact that, hey, this stock is going to move. I don't know where it's going to go, up or down, but I know it's going to be moving because earnings are coming up. And I expect the earnings to shake the market. Well, then you can simply, filter by the ones which have earnings coming up and then place an options trade around that. This is all possible. All right, Jeff, I feel like I talk too much. Do you want to take over?
Yeah, no, that was great. Good rundown. Yeah, so I'm going to get into more of the charting and the signals, and we'll talk a little bit about the trade trend buy sell signals, the divergence cloud, how we can use those together, some of the other features of the charting side. One thing Daniel hadn't mentioned yet is this is something that we've recently